Good morning, everybody. We're going to go to the Chumash of the day, which is in the book of Bereshis, the portion of Chayei Sarah, chapter 24, verse 53. Vayetze ha'eved kli chesed v'kli zav, and the servant took out silver articles and golden articles, ubegadim and clothes, l'Rivka for Rivka, umigdanis nasa le'achia le'ima, and he gave delicacies to her brother and to her mother. So Rashi says, what's mugdanis? Delicacies, lashon megadim, the expression of sweet fruit. He brought some sweet fruit. He brought with him sweet fruit from the land of Israel. Verse 54. They sat down, they ate, vayishtu, and they drank together. Him and his people that were with him. Vayalinu, and they went to sleep. Vayakumu ba'boker, and they got up in the morning. Vayomer, and he turned to them and he said, Shalcheinu ladoni, it's time for me to go home. I didn't come here for a vacation. I came here to do my job and bring back the girl to Yitzchak. So Rashi continues, Vayalinu, that only the Yalinu means they lodged for one night. He didn't stay for more than one night. Verse 55. V'ima, and her brother and her mother said, Teisha v'anaira itanu yomim. Why should she does got engaged? Usually a girl stays at home for 10, 12 months, and then she goes and travels to get married. That was usually the way they used to get engaged, and a year later they got married. So that she says, Vayema achia va'ima, her brother Lavan and her mother said, whatever. So the Rashi says, Besul hechan haya. Where was Besuel? Where did Besuel disappear? How come Besuel is suddenly not around in the picture? So Rashi says, the Medrash said he actually tried to kill Eliezer. He was not happy with the whole situation, and a malach came and he switched the soup that he put poison in he gave it to him, and he passed away. Yamim usually means a year. He said, let the girl say a year, or at least Rashi Esa Chadashim, or a couple of months. Rashi, how do we know Yomim is a year and Asa Chadashim is 10 months? Because it doesn't make sense to say the other way, that he asked her for a lot, and then a little. He must have asked her, and just have the little and then a lot. He asked her for a lot, and if not a lot, not a year, at least 10 months. Verse 56. He told him, Al ta'achru, don't hold me back. Hashem itzliach darki, you see that God had made successful my way. Shalchani, send me on my way. Let me go back home. So they said in verse 57, they said to her, Nikola Naila, let's call the young lady. Let's ask her. So Rashi says, from here we learn, from here we learn, She'ein Masinas Isha, we don't allow marriage, even though she was a child. She was a young girl. We don't marry a person against her will. She needs to say yes. Rivka, they had called to Rivka. They asked her if she would go. I'm on my way. That's what Rashi says. I'm ready to go. And if you say no, I'm still going. Verse 59. They sent Rivka, the sister, Vesminikasa and her nurse, Veseved, Avram, Vesanosha. He sent off Abraham's servant and his people. And they blessed her. Our daughter, may you become thousands of myriads. And may your seed inherit the cities of their enemies. So Rashi says, what is the expression? They knew who she was marrying. She's marrying Abraham. So they knew, they say, may your seed receive the blessing which was said to Abraham on Mount Moriah, and it will surely multiply your seed. May the blessing of Abraham be through you. So that's what he said, may it be his will that those children shall be from you and not from somebody else. Verse 61. Takam Rivka, and Rivka stood up, Manaraseha and her maids. But they took a road on the camels, but they went, they followed the man, Zivka, and the servant took her, and they went. Verse 62. And Isaac went out, coming from Be'er Lachei Roi, Negev, and he dealt in the land of the south. So now she says, why did he go away from Hebron? So he went out to find Hagar to bring him back to Avram, that they should remarry. So that's Yosef ben Negev, Kadal Esaber was near that well, as it says above, and Abraham traveled from there to the south, and he dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and there was a well that was located, it said, behold, it was between Kadesh and Shur, so it was in the southern side of Eretz Yisrael. Verse 53. Yitzchak went out to pray in the field. Towards the evening prayer. Towards the evening. Yisa'inov lifted his eyes, and behold, he saw that there was a caravan of camels coming. Lasuach, Rashi says, is the concept of prayer. Yishbach Sichi, may my lips pour. So Lasuach is the concept of prayer. From here, the Gemara says, we learn that Yitzchak established the prayer of Mincha. Verse 64. Tisa Rivka say now, Rivka uplifted her eyes, Yitzchak, she saw Yitzchak, Tipa Balagamal, and she fell off. She let herself off the camel. So now what she see? She saw his beauty of his face, his majestic appearance. So now she let herself down. She slipped towards the earth, as it's brought down in the Targum. She slipped, thought not that she fell off. Really, the expression of a tipple is she fell off. So therefore, Rashi says the Targum says she didn't fall off. She slid herself off, and she came to the ground. She said to the servant, verse 65, Mi ishalazeh, who is this man that's going in the field? This is Yitzchak. This is my master. She took her veil and she covered herself. So Rashi says she covered herself with the skies is in the reflex form, as it says and she begged. So it's a concept of her expression of her modesty. And the servant told Yitzchak about the unbelievable divine providence. As Rashi says, Gilei Nisim, he told him, revealed to him all the miracles Shanasalei. Shakafsla to begin with, that he got there, he went in the day, in the morning, he got there by afternoon. And suddenly Rivka came in his prayer after he prayed. Unbelievable story he told him. And Yitzchak brought her into the tent of Sarah. He took Rivka, he married her, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother. So now she says, why did he bring her what is the meaning that he brought her to the tent of Sarah? So Rashi says that she became like Sarah. Because as long as Sarah was at home, there was miracles that happened. As long as Sarah was alive, a candle burned. From one Shabbos, you light the candle on Friday afternoon, and it burnt the candle till next Friday. There was a blessing in the dough that she made, that the dough was blessed. It had a blessing of it was satiating, and it was unbelievable bread that Sarah made. And a cloud was attached over the tent of Sarah, was a cloud. We know Rashi said that Sarah was a greater prophet even than Abraham. And when she died, all this disappeared. And when Rivka came, these three blessings returned, because Rivka was also a prophetess. Achre imay, after his mother, in the way of the world, that as long as a person's mother's alive, he's attached to her. But as soon as she dies, he finds comfort in his wife. And that ends the Chumash of the day. We're going to go to the Tanya of the day, which is a complete chapter of Tanya. Chapter 31 of Tanya, a letter that the Alter Rebbe writes. This chapter of Tanya is important, I believe, today. And this, as it writes in the beginning, the introduction to the chapter, again, it's a Kodesh, Epistle 31. So here it talks about brotherly love among Jews strikes far deeper than the visible into personal plane. Indeed, if they are lacking, the pain is felt by the Shekhinah. When Jews don't get along, God is in pain. For the divine presence is in the heart of the Jewish people, who themselves constitute the organs of God, a deep-seated organic disorder that affects the circulatory system, affects the entire body, including even the heart. When the blood is not circulating, the Alter Rebbe is going to give an example of blood. When the blood is not circulating through the body, this affects the entire body. And so too, when there's no circulation of love between the Jewish people, it affects the entire system. This is a very powerful Tanya of the day. Noida Basharim, well known at the gates. It's an expression, Noida Basharim, the Bala, that it's well known at the gates, something that is known by those who want to know the aspect of esoteric teachings. Mashakosub Tikunim. This is a very interesting statement, what's brought in Tikkunim, which is part of the Zohar. The Shechinta imara begalusa, that the Shechina is the presence of God, is ailing in exile. An interesting expression is ailing in exile, so to say, as it were. Can't say God is ailing. But the Zohar says in Golus, in exile, there's an ailing in the concept of the Shechina. Pirush, the Alter Rebbe says, Derech Moshel, for an analogy, as a physical ailment, you can't compare Hamavdo ben Kodesh l'chol. You really can't compare the sickness of the body to God, because God has no sickness. But it's an analogy, like any other analogy. It's an analogy. It's not exactly the same. It's coming to give you a metaphor. The Alter Rebbe says, I'm not saying that the God forbid, the Zohar means that God forbid the Shechina is sick. The Shechina cannot be sick, chas v'shalom. But it's an analogy. We should learn from it. The Alter Rebbe says, what's the analogy? Cause of the illness, health, lies. What is wrong when a person is sick? What is the cause? Lies in the distribution of the flow of life force from the heart and all its organs. It's a problem when there's no flow. There's no flow from the brain. There's no flow from the heart. There's a blockage in the flow of blood or the flow of energy to the body. Hamaluvish, which usually the energy of the brain, even the energy flows through the blood that flows through the body. And when there's a blockage, too much cholesterol or whatever that might be, God forbid, you have a blockage of this flow. So you have a blockage in the life force. The spirit of life and the blood circulated all around. Which it goes into all the limbs, through the veins, which is embedded in them. And they return to the heart. So we have a constant flow from the heart. Like a dam hu nefesh. The dam is also the soul. That means everything is connected to the blood. And when the blood flows well, everything, whatever flows to the blood, all the energies and nutrition and everything that flows to the entire body flows well. And there's an interconnection, and you have a healthy individual. And if the circulation of flow of the spirit of life is always as it should be, in a proper order, as arranged by the fountainhead of life, by God. Azaya Adam body betachos. Then the person, Baruch Hashem, is healthy. Kikol avodim, because what happens when everything is well done and everything is flowing good? Kikol avodim mikusharim yachad. At that moment, all the body is all connected. They all receive the appropriate life force from the heart. Through this circulation. We need to have a good circulation system, and everything circulates through the blood to all the veins, to all the efforts, all the parts of the body. What happens? But should there be a disorder in any place, restraining, hindering, or reducing the circulation of the flow of blood with the spirit of life vested in it, what happens? God forbid something is not connected well. What happens? Which causes the individual to fall ill and sick. May God protect us. So there needs to be a constant flow, healthy in the situation. So precisely so, metaphorically speaking, all souls of Israel are regarded as the organs of the Shekhinah. We are what's called a koima achas. The entire Jewish nation is like one body. And each and every one of us is another organ of God. We're one big body. Some of us are the heads of the body. Some of us are the feet of the body. Some of us are the hands of the body. Some of us are the heart of the body. We're one big organism, one big body. Hanik, yeah. And so what happens? The Shekhinah, the Shekhinah is the heart of the body. The Shekhinah is which rests, the life force rests. That's like the life force of the human being is in his heart, blood. So to the life force of this of this koima achas, this one big body, the Shekhinah is where the heart is. Hanika b'shem lev, as it's called the heart. It's written, the rock of my heart. As it's written, I will dwell within them. V'shachanti b'seichem. Shekhinah means the dwelling where God dwelt. God dwells in the middle of the Jewish nation, like it was by the tabernacle. The tabernacle was in the middle. All the Jewish people lived around. So the tabernacle was the heart of the Jewish nation. It's like Yerushalayim. The Har HaBayis is called the heart of the Jewish people. Ki mitziim teitze Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. The heart of the Jewish nation, everything comes out from the heart. Pirush, the meaning of the comparison between the Shekhinah and the heart, Lashon Shekhinah, the term Shekhinah is derived from the word lishkain, to dwell. Denotes that the light of the God abides in the world of Bria, Yetzir, and Asiyah in order to endow them with life. That's the point. Why does God dwell in the midst of the Jewish people? So that he would give them their life force. Just like the heart dwells in the middle of the human being, and from that middle spreads out to the entire body. This life force is drawn forth by means of prior investment in the soul of Israel. It comes about not only to this life force. This Beis Hamikdash, this Mishkan, is not only for the Jewish people, it's for the whole world. It's for the whole world. The Gemara says that if the world would know what the temple brought to the world, not only to the Jewish people, they would protect the temple too. They would not destroy it. They would actually protect it. Because the life force comes in through the Jewish people, but ultimately to the entire world. And that's the way the Eibishter made it. Vishkol Avraham, because none of the created beings stand in any comparable relation to its creator. The kulaka make because ultimately the whole world is nothing to God. And it's impossible for the world at large to receive life force from God's light. Lias Levraim and Liesh, because they are creations for nothing. For nothing. May Ayin Liesh. They came from nothing to a physical something. V'chayim v'kiyamim, and they're still living. How does the world get its life force? Kim Aideh and Neshamas, they receive the life force through the Neshamas of Jews. Sha'olu b'nachshava. That as we explained in the beginning of Tanya, that the big difference between the world and all its creation was through a dibur, speech, and the neshama of a yid was through the thought of God. Shalom, v'kidmu lebriya sa'ilam. That the neshamas of Jews were even before the creation of the world. Shayidei b'chinas hadibur, which was created through speech. K'ma Maimon Hazal. The Alter Rebbe says what the Gemara says when it says, Nasa Adam b'tzalmeinu kidmuseinu. That when he said, who did he ask about the creation of the world, and even the creation of the world, the human world? Was he b'ni min nimlach? Who did God speak to? It says, the Gemara says, with the neshamas of a Jew. As it's known in other places, elsewhere. It's well known again. So that every downfall, divine force, influence from the upper worlds to the worlds which is lower than them, as it's said in the book of Sefer Yetzirah, it's a book of Kabbalah. This is a very important concept in Kabbalah. Chassidus, not chulasim b'seifan, b'seicham b'tchulasam. That the beginning, the utmost levels of creation is wedged in their culmination. In their culmination is wedged in their beginning. They're connected. What's the highest level is connected to the lowest level, and the lowest level is connected to the highest level. Ukamoshe Kasuv, as it's written, that the highest life force is advancing and retreating. So in essence, according to these words, according to these truthful words, which I can't really explain in writing, Nikra Shchina belev b'shem lev, Paneshames b'shem evarim. The Shchina is the heart, and the souls are the organs. That was the machshava in the thought of God to create, which was first the souls, and the presence of God, self-understood, the purpose of Dina B'Tachtonim, that God wanted a Sheichen to dwell in this world, and that's what ultimately happened. He created the Jewish nation. So that's the flow. The thought was the purpose of bringing down God to the world, and it would flow through the entire world, and that's why the thought of the soul of a Jew was first, and then he brought the soul of a Jew into a body, which is really the organs and the vessels of the Shechina, which is the purpose of the whole creation. Is the circulation of the flow of the life force and the influence from the Shechina to the worlds, and from the worlds back to the Shechina is not in a continuous. It's the flow. We keep the flow from above to below, back to above, above to below, back to below, above. Not we are the connector from above to the Jewish nation. Is the connector which brings down God to the world, not only to the Jewish world, to the entire world. To unite them, bind them, and join them all to one God. As it says in the verse, in the last portions of the Torah and the Tzavim, it says, you are standing all this day, all of you, before the Lord your God. Kulchem daika, all of you, ulefanei daika, in front of me, Roshechem, from the head, from those that cut the wood. So we are all need to stand, whether you're a wood chopper or your great Moshe Rabbeinu. You all are part of one body, which creates the flow from above to below. We are one nation that connects the spiritual world to the physical world. And it needs to flow. It needs to come from above to below, and then it needs to go back up and it needs to come back down. So the Alter Rebbe says, listen very careful. This clarifies what the Gemara says. The reason of the destruction of the second temple. And why the Jewish people went to exile is one thing. And the withdrawal of the Shechina and the descent into Edom. And this is a state of exile. As it were, you know what the reason is? It's all because of the sin of groundless hate between one Jew and another. And the dissension between their hearts. May the merciful one, may the merciful one save us. It all comes about because the breakage of the flow here in this world. There's one body that God brings down the flow to the world through, to the Jewish nation. Not only to the Jewish nation, but to the world. Is because this body is not unified. There's a breakage in the bones. There's a breakage in the sinews that are flowing one place to another place. And that's why when the body is sick, the heart is sick. The heart is not pumping. The Shechina is not pumping. And that's why the Zohar says the Shechina himself, metaphorically, is sick. Ashikasov Seimach, that's what it's written for. What's the phrase in the Amidah and Shemona Esrei we say? He supports those who have fallen. Seimach Leifim, V'Reifa Chaylim. He helps, he heals those that are sick. Lashon Rabim, it said in a plural. Seimach Neiflim. God picks up all those that are falling. That's not only humans, but also the Shechina. This alludes to all the organs of the body. And also the source of the organs, which is the Shechina. This is a very powerful Tanya for the day. We completed the Tanya of the day. It's very important. Actually, I think this is a complete letter, one letter. It's important to us all, self-understood, to have Avos Yisrael and not to have dissension between one and another. Today's Tehillim of the day is chapter 119. It's a very long chapter. That's why it's split into 2 days. The 25th day is the first half of chapter 119, and tomorrow is going to be the second chapter, part of the chapter. So it's because the chapter 119 has all the letters of the alphabet and 8 times each letter. So that's why we go from the letter Aleph to the letter Mem. Today, 25th day, chapter 119 from the beginning to the letter Mem. And tomorrow we're going to do from the letter Mem till the end of the Hebrew alphabet. Have a beautiful, wonderful, happy, healthy day. I wish you all the best in life. I'm offering today, in Shem, they're giving a class, the JLI class, which is called The Secrets of the Bible. There's beautiful stories of the Torah. It's going to be either today in the morning at 10 a.m. On this Zoom number, or tonight at 7:30. If you want a book, which is important, you should get the book. You can still get the book at the Chabad House. You can pick it up. And I wish you all a wonderful and beautiful and happy day. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m., which will continue the Chitas of the week. Have a great day.